everybody, welcome to a special edition of Vinyl Fetish up here in the Vinyl Addict. We're doing something that is not vinyl, but is very special. The long-awaited Ultra Let It Be box set in anticipation of the new Get Back movie, the Peter Jackson re-edit of the 1970 Let It Be film. We're all just waiting and waiting and waiting. All Beatle fans are just sitting in expectation. I didn't get it the day it came out because of money, you know, there's a pandemic, but I finally got it, and what I thought I'd do is unbox it with you here and then give it a listen and let you know what I think about this great project. So I'm very happy I got it at Music Millennium in Southeast Portland, and let's find out what's inside this thing. I had to spend a few extra dollars to get the Ultra. There's multiple versions of this, including a picture disc, which is something I haven't seen since the 70s. So let's open this up. I do want to say before I open it up that my original copy right here is the original Apple Red Label copy. I got it at a record bar at South Lake Mall in 1978. Phil Spector in all his glory. This is the one that I've had since I was 14. Maybe I got it in 77. So this is what we're measuring this against, the original vinyl release. Okay, here we go. So similar cover, right? Take this plastic off very carefully. It's thick. Oh, look at this. It's oh, of course there's lots of things here. Okay, first things first. Let's go in size order. There is a little ad here for the movie. Coming soon, coming over the Thanksgiving holiday. We will be watching it on Disney Plus. And then there's this. What is this? This is these are the CDs. So we get the original mix, or the new mix, the Giles Martin mix of the album, and then we have all the Apple sessions, all the outtakes that I can't wait to listen to. The Let It Be EP. And then the Blu-ray version of it. So there's 6 discs in here full of good music, including this looks like the what was intended to be the original album cover to look like the original. The Beatles loved kind of flashing back. They did it in the Hello Goodbye video, and a couple other times they've kind of revisited their own past. So that'll be great to listen to. Okay, I'll listen to that. There's the famous picture. I, by the way, went to the EMI building in 82 or 83, and stood in. This is when you walk in the front door of the EMI building and you look up, and this is sort of the entryway, the kind of looking down on the entryway, the foyer, which that building is no longer there. It's been torn down since, but I did take a picture of it. Okay, here's the book. So that's all the music, tons of music. Look at this. Oh my gosh. So this is the book, every page about every song. There's our Paul, still going strong with his own new book out. Track by track description, tons of great pictures. Oh my gosh. Look at that. I've Got a Feeling. You know, all the background on all the songs, and then the about this project itself, about turning this project into something new for Beatle fans. There you go. There's the original movie poster. Wow, this is a ton of good stuff. Some of these pictures we've seen before, right? At Twickenham shooting on those cold January mornings. Not happy, George. At least was not happy. There's our Billy Preston. Oh man, I've seen him a few times since these days. He's always great. We miss him. And all right, so what I'll do is I'll dive into all this stuff and listen to all the discs and give you a review of the mixes, and add to the excitement to the Get Back film that's about to be released. All right, be back in a little bit. Okay, we're back. We're back after a deep dive into the new Let It Be Ultimate box set. Well, you know, I have a lot to say about this. The packaging is really nice. The book is wonderful. There's an introduction from Paul McCartney, from Giles Martin, and from Glenn Johns with his very important memories, and sort of a track-by-track, really deep discussion of each of the songs. There's one thing I got to say at the beginning of this. The revelation on this, because a lot of this has been heard before, and a lot of these tracks have been out on bootlegs, is the first cut on disc 3 is the Beatles doing George's All Things Must Pass. The Beatles, with George sort of presenting it to the band and inviting the others to play in. Ringo comes in on drums. Paul starts doing some amazing Paul McCartney bass licks. John on organ and these high harmonies, and then Paul comes in on the harmony, and it is an instant Beatles song, and it is brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. How this did not end up on Abbey Road, I'll never know. And listening to this, including the early versions or sort of alternative versions of I Me Mine and something, this is what I wish would have happened in January 1969. I wish Paul McCartney would have said to George, the stuff that you're writing, the stuff that you are bringing in this band is better than the stuff that John and I are writing at the moment. It is so good. I think it makes sense for you to do a solo album and get all these songs you have out there. Give us a few for the next Beatles record, something pretty please. But you need to do a record. Maybe you'll invite me to play on it. But I really, really think you, our little brother, needs to do a George Harrison record to get these brilliant songs out there and then come back to the band. And I really think that would have changed so much of the dynamic in 1969 if George would have been encouraged to do that, because the recording of All Things Must... all the other stuff is sort of secondary. All Things Must Pass on this record, hearing it as a Beatles song, mind-blowing. That's the most important thing I wanted to say about the music on here. Real briefly, worth every penny. The Giles Martin mix of the original Let It Be album, which was the Phil Spector mess, as Paul kind of thought of it, is it's somewhere between the Let It Be Naked version and the Phil Spector version. The kind of Spectorness is dialed down a little bit. But one of the things you saw is they did this album, for the most part, without George Martin. They kind of fired him, and they sort of brought him back for Abbey Road. And you really see how much they needed George Martin. If anybody was the fifth Beatle, it was George Martin. And so the kind of meandering mess that is the beautiful fun that is the Let It Be album is not rescued by George Martin's son coming in at the last minute and putting the kind of Martin touch on it. It really sounds like a George Martin-less record, but it sounds really good. Everything is really bright. The Long and Winding Road still has kind of the, you know, the over-top orchestra, but we sort of associate that song with all that angel singing business now, and so I don't think that's a bad thing. All the outtakes are really great. I mean, it's so great to hear, you know, the Abbey Road songs in process, including Octopus's Garden and She Came In Through the Bathroom Window, songs that would end up, you know, being a John solo record, like Give Me Some Truth, or a Paul solo record like Teddy Boy. It's great to hear all that stuff, very intimate. It's not depressing and joyless as we've been led to believe. There's a lot of fun that they're having as they're recording these things. And, you know, this was meant to be the anecdote to, like, 67, 68, where they were increasingly working alone. You know, the White Album, where they're all in separate rooms working on their separate songs and then putting them together on something called a Beatle record. This is four guys jamming together, and then with Billy Preston, who just makes everything better, sort of in a very close space, sitting, you know, 3 or 4 feet from each other, being the Fab Four. And you just feel it. You feel the sort of joy in it. It's just sort of directionless, and you really kind of do the what if this had turned into a big concert? What if they played at the Parthenon or on a tugboat in the Thames or whatever, you know, this end product would have been, instead of just up on the roof of Apple. It could have been something amazing, but they were a little bit distracted, you know, including sort of Paul. I mean, everybody sort of, I remember seeing Let It Be in the movie theaters, the midnight movies in the late 70s, when it was still the dream of the Beatles reunion. And, you know, Yoko would be up on the screen and everybody would boo and hiss because they're racist and sexist. And this was Stone Mountain, Georgia. But, you know, Paul was also shifting from, you know, from one Libra John to another Libra Linda. And, you know, their heads were in other places. But you see the kind of joie de vivre, the joy that they share together. The other thing about this is we finally get an official release of the Glyn Johns mix of the Get Back album. Now, it's important to point out that the Glyn Johns mix from 69, and this is actually 69 and a little bit of 70, apparently only the Japanese version, you get the full 69 Glyn Johns mix, wasn't intended to be a release. It wasn't intended to be, oh, here's the new Beatle album. It was intended to be an acetate, which he gave them sort of an idea of what the album might look like with a little bit more work. You know, here's the songs that should be on there. And we've heard it, a lot of it before. It's been on Anthology, it's been on a million bootlegs. But I will tell you that the Glenn Johns mix of Long and Winding Road is great. Is probably the best version. And also to hear the long version of Dig It. Not just a little short snippet of Dig It that you get, but to hear the whole thing is just so much fun. And so, you know, to have all this together in anticipation of the Get Back film coming out just really highlights that we've been kind of misled about, you know, the winner of our discontent, as George Harrison once called it. You know, I'll play what you want to play, whatever it is that will please you, Paul. All that sort of business that we got in the film is kind of absent here. We see another version of events that create an idea that this band was getting back, which was a very big trend at the time. You know, Dylan and the band, I mean, George Harrison had been hanging out with the band in Woodstock, New York. I mean, later that year, Woodstock, you know, we think of Woodstock and we think of Jimi Hendrix and the Starship, but Sha Na Na, the 50s doo-wop band, was also at Woodstock. So there was this whole Get Back thing happening. And it makes sense that Glenn Johns was involved in it because he was kind of involved in the Stones' more bluesy sound starting in 68, 69. But to hear it all kind of here together in one package is really nice. The book is really great. And the way it's all put together, man, very exciting. It's kind of like hearing a new Beatles album that you hadn't heard before. But I have to say, the All Things Must Pass track, the whole thing, whatever I paid for this, you know, $100+ is worth it for the All Things Must Pass Beatles song. Not the George Harrison solo cut from 1970, the Beatles song from 1969, All Things Must Pass. That is just beautiful. Just warms my heart. So here you go. That's a quick review of the new Let It Be box, super deluxe version. You want to get it. You want to get it because it just sounds so good, and we can't wait to see the film. We'll all be camped in front of our TVs, subscribing to Disney Plus, so we can go back Twickenham and Apple Studios in 1969. I will say that when I was a student in London, I snuck onto the roof of Apple 3 Savile Row. The building was empty. I went into the building next door, went up to a maid's closet, climbed out the window, went up the fire escape, and was on the roof of Apple briefly singing Get Back, seeing the view that the band saw. It was really spectacular. Then some dude came and screamed at me and told me to get off, and I said, I didn't mean to hurt your ceiling, mister, and quietly left. But it is now a Abercrombie and Fitch kids store if you go to 3 Savile Row. But I have a feeling this year there's got a lot of people going to Savile Row to be in the place where the Beatles played their final rooftop concert and played this music. Don't Let Me Down. Oh my gosh, it sounds so good on here. So there you go. We love the Beatles, and we love getting a little taste of things that we haven't seen from the inside the vaults, and this is a good one. All right, thanks everybody. We'll be back soon with another album in our top 100 or our favorite 100 albums that you need in your collection. Until then, the Beatles matter, you matter, so let's talk about it.